I'm 70 years old, and I've learned something the hard way that I wish I'd understood 30 years ago. Money isn't just about numbers in a bank account, it's about power. It's about who gets to decide where you sleep when you're bleeding through fresh bandages. My name is Constance. I worked 30 years in a school cafeteria. Not glamorous work, but honest work. I fed kids their lunch, made sure they had something warm on cold days. I watched my coworkers go on vacations, buy second homes, spend money without thinking. But I saved. Every paycheck, something went into savings. I wasn't trying to be rich, I was trying to be safe. My son Gregory got married 5 years ago to a woman named Brenda. She seemed lovely at first. She called me Mom instead of Constance, brought pie on Sunday afternoons, asked about my day. The kind of daughter-in-law who makes you feel like you married well on behalf of your child. 2 years ago, Gregory and Brenda found a house on Birch Lane. Nice neighborhood. Good school district, not that it mattered much anymore, but I could see the appeal. 4 bedrooms, updated kitchen, the kind of place that makes you feel like you've made it. They'd saved up, worked hard, but when they went to make an offer, they came up $25,000 short on the down payment. Gregory called me. He didn't ask, he just called and said, Mom, we need help. I had $91,000 saved. I'd worked 30 years for that money, and I gave him 40 of it. I didn't give it to him to lose it or to throw it away. I gave it because that's what mothers do. You protect your children's futures. You make their dreams possible. But I wasn't foolish. I had a financial advisor named Janet Perkins, and when I told her what I was about to do, she said something smart. Constance, if you're putting in this much money, you need to protect yourself. So we set it up so the mortgage was in my name. Not to steal the house, not to take it back someday, but to make sure that if something went wrong, I couldn't lose everything I'd worked for. Janet made sure the legal paperwork was clear and right. Gregory and Brenda got their house. I got a peace of mind. For a while, anyway. The first year was beautiful. I'd drive over on weekends. We'd sit on the porch with coffee. Brenda would have made something, fresh bread or coffee cake. They'd show me how they'd fixed up this room or that room. It felt like I was part of something, like my sacrifice meant something. The second year, things shifted. Slowly at first. Brenda started mentioning that I came over too often. Not directly, not like that. Just comments that landed differently than they used to. You don't need to come every weekend, Mom. We need our space. Or, Gregory's been working really hard. Maybe give him a break from family stuff. I stopped coming every weekend. I started coming every other weekend. Then once a month. Then I had my gallbladder surgery. I was 70 years old, and my body decided it had held on to that gallbladder long enough. 14 stitches. They sent me home after 2 days with a discharge packet and instructions to take it easy. I had an apartment then, third floor walk up, no elevator. I'd climbed those stairs my whole life, barely thought about it. But with 14 stitches pulling at my abdomen, those stairs felt like mountains. Gregory called. I told him what happened. He said, "Why don't you stay with us for a week? You can rest, and Brenda can help you with anything you need." I almost cried. I was in pain, scared of infection, exhausted from surgery, and my son wanted me to stay. That felt like love. I packed a bag. I brought my medications, my discharge instructions, the supplies I'd need to change my bandages. I was ready to spend a week in the home I'd helped buy, in the home I'd thought of as partly mine because I'd sacrificed for it. I stayed 2 nights. On the morning of the third day, I was in the guest room, unwrapping new bandages, when Brenda knocked on the door. She didn't come in. She stayed in the hallway, and even through the door, I could feel the coldness in her voice. "Constance," she said, and that was the first time she'd called me by my first name in 5 years. "This is our house. There's a motel 2 blocks away. They have weekly rates." I stood there with gauze in my hands and a surgical wound that wasn't even a week old, and my daughter-in-law was telling me to get out. I don't remember exactly what I said back. I think I said, "Okay." I think I packed my bag with shaking hands while trying not to tear open my stitches. I drove 2 blocks away to the motel. $175 a night. The room smelled like bleach and something else underneath it, something I didn't want to identify. There was a microwave that barely heated water and a bathroom so small you could touch both walls if you stood in the middle. I changed my own bandages in that motel bathroom, alone, with my hands shaking. I sat on the edge of that cheap bed, and I realized something that I should have understood years before. I had given my power away. 2 months later, I called Janet. I told her what had happened. There was a long pause on the line, and then she said something I'll never forget. "You know what you can do, right?" I did know. I'd known all along, actually. The mortgage was in my name. What happened next was quiet but absolute. The bank contacted Brenda. They had a question for her. Did she know whose name was actually on the mortgage? She called my apartment screaming. She called so many times that I had to turn off my phone. Gregory came to my door one evening with red eyes and asked me what I was doing. I looked at him and I said, "I'm selling the house. You can have 30 days to find somewhere else to live, or you can figure it out with your wife." He left. He didn't argue. I think he knew. I think he'd known for a while that his wife had crossed a line. I sold the house in 45 days. Market was good, and people wanted that neighborhood, that school district. I took my profit and I bought something different. A 1-story condo with a walk-in shower and no stairs. I spent money on things that made my life easier. I didn't do it out of spite. I did it because I'd learned the most important lesson of my 70 years. Never hand someone the power to leave you stranded. Gregory calls me sometimes. We've rebuilt something, though it's not what it was. Brenda never called. She never apologized. Some bridges, once they're burned, stay burned. But I sleep well in my condo. I can shower without pain. I can live without depending on anyone's mercy. And that, I've learned, is worth more than any dream of being one big happy family ever was. The legal papers are very clear now. Everything is in my name. Everything stays that way. I'm 70 years old, and I've learned something that cost me more than money to understand. Love and wisdom don't always arrive together. Sometimes wisdom only comes after you've been left alone in a motel room, changing bloody bandages, wondering how the woman who called you mom could be the same woman who showed you the door. Guard your power. Don't give it to anyone who hasn't earned the right to have it. And if you do give it, make sure the paperwork is crystal clear, because someday that paperwork might be the only thing standing between you and the street.